everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is going to be slightly different than the others that have been put up on channel so far. I'm going to talk about the beginning of my spiritual journey. And the reason why I'm talking about this is just felt right. Right, so far I've not given any kind of indication or used the word spiritual, but it felt important. So here goes. So I hail from a Brahmin family, and as you know, Brahmins घर में बहुत पूजा पाठ होते रहता है all the time. Therefore, there are a lot of rules and regulations to be followed, and that never really resonated with me. I've always felt a little far away from that. Chunki I grew up in Bengal, so saying Durga Puja ke around and all these festivals, there was a lot of hype around it. And I enjoyed it as a event कि हाँ मज़ा आ रहा है as children you do with पटाखे फूट रहे दिवाली पे दुर्गा पूजा के टाइम में बाहर घूम रहे हैं नए कपड़े and all that jazz. But I've never felt any kind of religiously towards God. I've never felt it. घर पे भी parents कभी कभी थोड़े बड़े हो गए थे तो कभी कभी बोलते थे सजदा दिखा दो ये कर दो वो कर दो. But all these things I did out of just because I was told to do so. It never resonated with me anywhere. So I've always kept away from it, and fortunately my parents were never that forceful about these things. So while they asked me to do धूप बत्ती and all these things, कभी भी बैठा के दिमाग में force नहीं किया गया. छोटे practices true, but I've heard stories where people were literally forced कि तुम ये करो इस तरह से करो ये वो. That fortunately I didn't see. So I guess थोड़ा सा easy रहा इस context में मुझे छोड़ दिया गया कि ठीक है तुम सवेरे चलो इतना पुश ही नहीं किया गया. एटलीस्ट नॉट ग्रोइंग अप. कॉलेज के बाद तो खैर कभी कर रही नहीं तो पता नहीं. सो द थिंग इज कि 2021 में सो 2021 was probably my lowest time. I was going through actually two back-to-back bad breakups. 2020 के end में around November I had a breakup, and to kind of get over that breakup I got into another relationship which went on for 6 months that drained me of my emotional and a lot of financial energy. So I was frustrated. I was stuck alone in the second wave, as you do in a foreign land, so to speak. Goa is very far away from my home. While the experience was lovely, people were lovely, but it was still lonely. You were stuck during lockdown, second lockdown, which was, in my opinion, far worse. Jo bhi tha, it was a bad time around. And I just remember, I was not just frustrated by the fact that itna kharab chal raha hai relationship ke context mein life. Otherwise, I felt very stuck in my life. There was no progress being made. While I had a job and everything, there was a distinct lack of meaning and clarity. And it was the rock bottom of rock bottoms for me. I think even in the time at college, jab mere ko anxiety attacks aate the, I would have preferred that over what I was feeling in 2021. And I remember one of the things that kept coming to my head was, I'm really tired of this cycle, this shitty cycle that keeps happening. I'll be okay for few months, and then again I'll be at rock bottom and I'll not know why. Because this really kept happening with me. And it's just at my wit's end. And by this time, I was ready to try anything. So I remember my brother, my cousin brother, who I am closest to, he already was spiritual, but because he knew I had no inclination, he never talked about these things to me. I just knew that he believed. He was not religious. I'm making the distinction, but we'll come to the definition later on. So I used to live with a friend before, and they left behind then Bhagavad Gita. And because I was just so lonely, stuck, scared, and there wasn't a lot I could do being stuck at home since the book was already there, I kind of started reading that. And there was a song, jo I don't remember if उसी time में release हुआ था, but केदारनाथ I think movie, I think सुशांत सिंह नहीं पहले ही release हुआ था, right? Then उसमें क्या था ना, उसपे वो गाना है नमो नमो भोलेनाथ का, that I heard. Somehow that song resonated with me. And I remember I couldn't sleep at nights through nights because of anxiety. And I remember playing that song on loop all the time. And kabhi, not very dedicated, but मैं kabhi Gita पढ़ती थी. And it kind of gave me some kind of, there was something there, but I wasn't serious. I was still looking for a solution and all that thing. So I remember one of this random day in perhaps April, May or June, May probably, I was napping on the sofa in like सुबह सुबह 10-11 बजे के around, because I used to wake up quite early in the morning. नींद ही नहीं आती थी मुझे, मैं क्या बोलूँ. Anywho, I was napping in the daylight and I had a dream. And I still don't feel comfortable talking about the dream to everybody, so I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details. But that dream was जैसे बोलते हैं ना, प्रत्यक्ष रूप से किसी के सामने आ जाता है. And I know this is something that only people who have experienced some sort of vision will understand, and it doesn't have to be from any, मतलब कोई specific religion की होने की भी जरूरत नहीं. It's just something people who have gone through will experience. So if it sounds stupid to you, that's okay. I don't expect you to understand. But the thing is, I had this dream. And I was always a non-believer. It's not even like किसी ने brainwash किया, nothing like that. Just happened, that dream. And I remember calling up my brother immediately after, because सपने में ही मुझे ये feeling, उठते ही सबसे पहला feeling ये था, I have to call him. And I called him, I talked to him. He said, you had a vision. I wouldn't have understood it otherwise, maybe later on. But yeah. But somehow after that day, and again, nobody talked to me about this thing. I wasn't even consuming these kind of content online. Mera content was all around what I was going through, which was just this person was pulling away from me, and I was just extremely unhappy, distraught, and all that thing. And later on, I found out they were cheating on me. Whatever it was, I was not even consuming content. So there's no way kahin aur se hua tha. It just happened. And even in the worst of it, I've always been an optimistic person. So maybe it's that. The thing is, I don't want to rationalize it. That day, something changed. Somehow, from this non-believer, I became a believer. I started believing. I already kind of did like logically believed that, of course, there has to be a higher power who we are not aware of because we have our limitations and all that jazz. But that day, somehow something, it was a little more than just logic. There were emotions now. And for me, somehow I resonated with the image of Shiv. So that's where I stick to. I kind of call my Isht Shiv. So, हाँ. लेकिन उसके बाद से ना जिंदगी थोड़ी पलट हो गई. Because I remember immediately after that, I decided to leave that place. My cousin brother was going for a trip in Uttarakhand. I was like, let's go. Devbhoomi, chalte hain. And then Devbhoomi mein gaye. We lived it was almost like going to Vipassana jaise jaate hain log, बहुत specifically with this purpose. That's what we went into. We were not just doing a road trip randomly. It was a spiritual journey where we were trying to find answers, some guidance. So हम बहुत जगहों पे गए थे. हम शुरू किए थे हल्द्वानी से, फिर जागेश्वर. We explored a lot of places. So then there was that experience, like initial way. And when I came back home, I felt like an entirely changed person. That's like after 2021 July, my life has actually changed. Look, एक vision आ गया and suddenly you don't become a different person. True. But something shifted. And उसके बाद से, for me to push forward in anything that I do has somehow become easier. I still have my low days, I still have my problems and everything. But because now I feel like I found my meaning. It's, again, like anybody who has not experienced this is very difficult to explain in that sense. But you don't have to believe in God to believe this. Like people who already have their meaning, उनका काम हो सकता है, उनके बच्चे हो सकते हैं, कोई relationship हो सकता है, उनका खुद का कुछ thought process हो सकता है. Whatever that you hold as your meaning in life, this is just feeling like that. Then from there, a lot of clarity, even in moments of no clarity, I have received, and I have been able to stand up for myself, which I wasn't able to do before. I'm able to speak my truth. And I believe that spirituality, what I understood from it, like the religious aspect, the way it has been corrupted, the way it has been used to oppress people's individuality and freedom, to kind of just hold power for some people, power in terms of actual power in policy making or money and whatever it is, उस lust को हटा दो. तो जो actual teachings हैं, which is true in any religion, any holy text you open, this is what it teaches us, that the God resides in us. We hold that power. And to wield that power, you need to be in touch with that power first. Like instead of looking at external things, what you need to do is look inside. Every question ka answer is inside. We don't need anything from outside. Everything is inside. हर प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन हर चीज़ है. और चीज़ों को इस तरह से, जिस तरह से हमारा जो अभी का सोशल मॉरालिटी है, ये सब चीज़ लेट्स अज्यूम कि जहाँ से शुरू हुआ मे बी सही जगह से शुरू हुआ, बट इट डजेंट मैटर. यू नीड योर गाइडेंस इज इनसाइड योर गट फीलिंग. तुम उसे गट फीलिंग बोलो, तुम्हारा थॉट प्रोसेस बोलो, तुम्हें जो भी समझ में आता. मुझे I feel a very distinct voices, like I have distinct voices in my head. One voice that comes from my soul, the feeling of that voice is always calm and surety. And जो logic से आता है वो उसके पास बहुत सवाल होते हैं, थोड़ा सा vibrate करता है in state of a little bit confusion and a little bit aggressiveness, which is not the voice that my gut feeling or my soul tells me. The soul का voice is always calm. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. It can just say कि इधर चलो. Doesn't matter. And पहले बहुत डर लगता था, सोचती थी कैसे होगा ये लॉजिक वो लॉजिक. But with a lot of practice through meditation, practice through kind of cutting out this voice. And cutting out this voice means acting on it. If your ego का voice, as you would call it, ego का voice is telling you कि ये करना है, तो तुम्हें पता है ये नहीं करना है, तो you kind of stay strong on that. It's like drawing a boundary with yourself. You know क्या करने की ज़रूरत है. I miss my parents, but at the same time, my soul tells me, no, I need to stand up for this because this is the right thing to do or to say. And this is just for me, which just gives me the strength even on the days where I really miss them, really want to talk to them. I don't. Not because there's an ego there, but because it just doesn't feel right. मुझे लगता है कि मैं अपने soul को disrespect नहीं कर सकती for my ego. And again, you need to build up to this point, and it's still a work in progress. I'm still working through it. My daily practice goes into this. And the more I do it, the more clearer that soul voice becomes. And I as someone who was so stuck in anxiety, people pleasing, fear of confrontation, fear of doing anything. I wanted to do nothing unless I knew I was perfect at it. Right? And these things are things that held me back. Maybe किसी और के लिए ये चीज़ actually काम करे, but I'm speaking for myself, and these things always held me back. But now I feel like a different person. I am breathing and living a different life because I don't feel as scared to take risks anymore. I'm okay with failure. I'm okay कि हाँ हो जाएगा. I'll just learn a new thing. I just feel such a strong sense of doing something, and that's such a stark difference from 2 years ago. So just the thing is कि मुझे रह के सिर्फ प्रूफ मिलते जा रहा है कि मुझे इसी रास्ते पे जाना है. While I have a sense of destination कि मेरे लाइफ का मीनिंग मुझे कहाँ लेके जा रहा है, it's still not defined well enough for me, and I'm okay with that. There is so much of, like, I feel so alive. For the most of my life, I felt like I was living underwater, where all my emotions, all my thoughts I could hear as if मैं पानी के अंदर, जैसे कहाँ म्यूटेड होता है, थोड़ा सा डिस्टॉर्टेड म्यूटेड हेजी होता है, मुझे लिजिट जिंदगी भर वैसा लगता रहा. एंड आई कम फ्रॉम अ वेरी प्रिविलेज बैकग्राउंड. मेरी लाइफ में कुछ खराब नहीं था. मेरे को कभी भी खाने की किल्लत नहीं हुई है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है. मेरे को समहाउ हर चीज़ काम होते गया है, समहाउ बिकॉज ऑफ माई फैमिली. आई डोंट नो व्हाट एवर इट इज़. मेरे को कभी एक्चुअल उस तरीके का प्रॉब्लम हुआ ही नहीं है, बट जस्ट इमोशनली मैं इतने डाउन रहती जहाँ से ये चेंज हुआ था. एंड नाउ, like, I think with my privilege came a lot of downfall was that, again, different लोग different problem होती है. There is no way I can say कि यही सही रास्ता या नहीं है, but actually एक ही सही रास्ता है fundamentally, कि तुम्हारे अंदर की एक आवाज़ है. तुम अगर recognize कर लोगे कि वो क्या आवाज़ है, और वो किसी तरह से, like I said, कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है कि बैठ के तुमको मेडिटेशन करने की ज़रूरत है, किसी भगवान की पूजा करने की ज़रूरत है. जो तुमको सही लगता है, अगर तुमको वो करने के लिए तुम्हें लगता है कि हाँ ठीक है, शांति से बैठ के मेडिटेट करके देखते हैं, यू डू. The thing is, you would want to meet that person, because that person, that soul in you is powerful. I have felt that power in moments. कभी कभी मुझे सेकेंड्स में फील हुआ है, कभी कभी कुछ काम करते हुए फील हुआ. एंड मेरे लिए मेरी पूरी ज़िंदगी हेजी ही रही है. बट नाउ धीरे धीरे, बाई जस्ट प्रैक्टिसिंग, और वो चेंज होते रहता है. समटाइम्स इट्स मेडिटेशन. कुछ फेजेस में मैंने मेडिटेशन भी करके देखा है, बट इवेंचुअली इट्स जस्ट लाइक डेली अवेयरनेस एंड प्रैक्टिस ऑफ माई थाट्स कि मेरे थाट्स से मुझे डिस्टिंक्शन आज के डेट में पता है क्या करना है, एंड बस उनको फॉलो थ्रू मैं करती रहती हूँ, जस्ट बेसिकली बीइंग माइंडफुल ऑल द टाइम, राइट. तो उससे मेरे को जो क्लैरिटी मिली, जो लाइफ में एक्चुअली जो खुशी मिल रही है ना, ये मुझे शायद वो लाइफ जी के कभी नहीं मिलती, जो कि पेपर पे बहुत अच्छी थी. मैं बहुत अच्छे यूनिवर्सिटी से पास की एलुमनाई हूँ, अच्छे अच्छे ग्रेड्स के साथ, अच्छे जॉब में, अच्छा जॉब मिलता, अच्छे जॉब में होती, बहुत पैसे मिलते, एंड एवरीथिंग वुड हैव बीन ग्रेट, एंड आई वॉज एट दैट पॉइंट. बट इन स्पाइट ऑफ ऑल दैट थिंग कुछ नहीं हुआ, राइट. और अब मुझे ज़्यादा ऐसे लग रहा है कि मैं दिन पर दिन छोटी बच्ची बनते जा रही हूँ. मुझे टेंशन कम हो रहा है. आई एम एबल टू लिव माई लाइफ, आई एम एबल टू एक्सप्रेस माई इमोशंस, and it feels such a freedom and liberty that I know कि मेरे को ना रास्ता समझ में, मतलब मुझे पर ज़िंदगी भर भी एग्जैक्ट नहीं पता चलेगा ना कि कैसे चलना है, तो भी मैं इसी डायरेक्शन में काम करती रहेगी. मैं हमेशा ही अपने अंदर की आवाज़, अपने सोल की आवाज़ सुनती रहेगी, जिसको मैं आई वुड लाइक टू कॉल माई सोर्स. आई वुड ऑलवेज वॉन्ट टू गेट क्लोजर टू माई सोर्स and get to a point where it was just my source that existed. No ego, no noise, nothing. That kind of, like, absolute happiness is what I'm striving for. And उस रास्ते पे मुझे वो सोल ही मेरे को बता रहा है कि क्या करने की ज़रूरत है. उस सोल नहीं कहा है कि YouTube वीडियो बनाओ, उस सोल नहीं कहा है कि ये वीडियो बनाओ, और अब मैं वो वीडियो बना रही हूँ. और लाइफ में आई स्वेयर, मुझे उत्तराखंड के ट्रिप के लिए 1 महीने के लिए जाना था. आई स्टिल हैड माई डे जॉब, राइट. एंड आई डेंट नो हाउ टू, आई कैन टेक अ मंथ लॉन्ग, छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगा उतना लंबा इतने शॉर्ट नोटिस पे. आई डेंट नो हाउ टू टेक अ हॉलीडे, बट आई स्वेयर टू गॉड मुझे 1 महीने का ना प्रोजेक्ट मिल गया, जहाँ पे मुझे हफ्ते के 4 दिन का काम मैं 1 दिन में कर सकती थी, जो कि पॉसिबल था करना वहाँ पे. एंड ये एक इंसिडेंट से, ऐसे बहुत इंसिडेंसेस हुए. मुझे कुछ चीज़ चाहिए होता है, मेरे को क्लैरिटी है कि मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये प्रॉब्लम, मुझे ये करने की ज़रूरत है. आई एम ऑलवेज just left it to the universe. I just put it out in the universe कि okay, this is my problem, solve it for me. हमेशा हुआ है. मैंने बहुत बार ट्राई टेस्ट भी किया है just to see कि कि कोई डर तो नहीं. बहुत बार हुआ है, बहुत तरीक़ों से हुआ है, जिसकी छोटी छोटी कहानियाँ मैं किसी अलग वीडियो में बताऊँगी. But it has worked like a charm. So it doesn't matter. The thing is, it's just such a thing that I believe in now कि I can't not believe in it, and I want others to kind of not go into my belief. तो मैं ये believe करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बोलना पे करने की ज़रूरत है. I just need you to believe in yourself and have that faith in yourself कि कोई मेरे जैसा कोई कर सकता है, जिसको अपने पे रत्ती भर भी भरोसा नहीं है, घबरा के कुछ नहीं करती है, भोंदू की तरह साइड में बैठी हुई है, उसको चाहिए ये करने का, लेकिन वो कुछ कर नहीं रही है, सब कुछ होने के बावजूद कुछ नहीं कर रही है. कोई भी कर सकता है. And that's what I need you to do, to kind of build that kind of faith in yourself. And for that, you need to devise a practice. You can follow mine, or you have to devise your own practice. Get in touch with that voice, and then let that voice guide you. Life is so beautiful. There's no point of listening to the society anyway. Society is crude. हम लोग महा सेल्फिश हैं. हम वैसे भी एक दूसरे के लिए काम कर नहीं रहे. तो ये सोसाइटी, by definition society is a community. It needs to help each other, support each other. नहीं करता ये सोसाइटी, बहुत स्क्रूड अप है. हम अभी बहुत ही घटिया समय में रह रहे हैं. तो जब पता है कि बकवास है, तो क्यों बकवास चीज़ों का सुनना, राइट. अंदर की आवाज़ है, उसका सुन के कभी कोशिश तो करो. कोशिश करके देखो क्या होता है. I want everybody to taste that freedom and actually work toward that freedom, because I believe if we are all, क्योंकि मेरे को लगता है if there's a higher power is a master creator. पूरा नेचर देख लो यार. नेचर में जिस तरीके से है, it feels mind blowing. Like everything makes sense. Everything has a role to play. So clearly हमारा भी एक रोल है, and हम लोग सब में वो instincts डाला हुआ है कि तुम्हारा ये रोल है, जाके करो, right? So then maybe take that chance. लायन को कभी नहीं भटकता है लायन, क्योंकि वो ये सब उल्टे सीधे चीज़ों में थोड़ी पड़ा हुआ है. उसको बस पता है कि उसको हंट करना है, बच्चे क्रिएट करने हैं, एंड जो भी और करता है वो, उसका काम बहुत फिक्स्ड है. उसको कोई बेवकूफ़ नहीं बना सकता, उसको कोई ब्रेन वॉश नहीं कर सकता है. हमारे बुद्धि के साथ हमारा ब्रेन वॉशिंग पावर भी है, जो हम खुद को भी ब्रेन वॉश कर देते हैं और दूसरों को भी करते हैं. तो लेट्स ट्राई टू लिसन टू आवर इंस्टिंक्ट्स एंड देन सी द ब्यूटी दैट इट क्रिएट्स. देन सब चीज़ तुमको करना है, बट एट द सेम टाइम तुम्हें कुछ भी नहीं करना है, बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाट दिस इज अबाउट. जस्ट लिसन टू योर इंस्टिंक्ट एंड काइंड ऑफ just do that without thinking about कि इसका क्या फ़ायदा है, क्या नुकसान है. For some time फ़ायदे नुकसान देख लिया ना, कितना मिल गया, कितना फ़ायदा मिल गया, कितना नुकसान मिल गया. इस तरह की तकलीफ में जी के कोई पॉइंट नहीं है. बस एक बार सुन के देखो अपनी इंस्टिंक्ट का, और देखो क्या क्या अजीब ही ब्यूटी क्रिएट होता है कि किसी को सेंस ही ना बने, ऐसी जिंदगी जो कि दूसरे को सेंस ना बने कि ये यार क्या पागलपंती की बात बोल रहा है. आई फील सो फनी राइट नाउ ये सब बोल के, बिकॉज आई नो इट साउंड्स अ लिटिल क्रेजी टू अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल, बट एट द सेम टाइम इट्स जस्ट सच अ फन. हम लाइक थोड़ा क्रेजी होकर तो देखो इतना सेंस बना के क्या फ़ायदा है. लेट्स नॉट मेक सेंस ऑफ एनीथिंग, लेट्स जस्ट गो क्रेजी. Okay. All right, I'll sign off the video right now. If you want to know more about the stories, if you want to know the small little incidences that I talked about, put it down in the comments. I'll put it either as shorts or something else. Let me know what you feel.